Welcome home. Alright, what's going on guys, it's Epoxy, and we got some really good news for Fallout 76 in the Inside the Vault for January 24th, 2019, and I want to just sit down, read the entire thing with you guys because this is really good info for the game, and it's not just about survival mode, but this is the big thing about this Inside the Vault. They're going in the details about the survival mode. They're also responding on Reddit, which we're going to cover later on in the video. They're responding to a lot of feedback, and they're trying to listen as much as possible. They're putting survival mode, which is their PvP mode, into beta. So they want to make sure that they polish this thing up and make sure it's what people want. And they're going to change things as the beta goes on. So we're going to go ahead and read through this entire thing. There's a lot of exciting information further on in this video. I'll try to see if I can timestamp it, but without further ado, here we go. In last week's Inside the Vault, we briefly mentioned a new, more dangerous mode, which is separate from the main game and has fewer restrictions on player versus player PvP experiences, which will be coming to Fallout 76 in a future update. We've dubbed this new mode Survival, and we're excited to share a few more details with you today. Additionally, we'd also like to give you a little more information on our next major patch, also known as Patch 5. A new, more dangerous game mode, Survival, and in brackets, Beta. Since the launch of Fallout 76, we've received lots of feedback from some of our most competitive players who have requested greater challenges, fewer restrictions, and more incentives when it comes to PvP combat. With this in mind, we began developing Survival Mode, which will bring a new way for you to engage in even more demanding, high-stakes, and deadly adventures in Fallout 76. We're still hard at work on this mode internally and plan to bring it to the live game in phases as we add more content and features over time. Here's a preview of what you can expect from Survival when Phase 1 opens for beta testing, and here is the new way to play. This is what it's going to look like in-game, at least for the beta. I honestly like this implementation of it. Moving on, after hitting play from the main menu, you'll be able to choose whether you'd like to play Adventure Mode, which is Fallout 76 as you know it today, or the new Survival Mode. The same quests, events, and story that you're used to in Adventure Mode will all remain available in Survival, but you'll have to navigate them under the ever-looming threat of hostile dwellers who may be hiding just around the corner. You're free to create new characters for Survival Mode and encouraged to do so, but you can also use your existing ones. Now this is where I'm going to take a pause and say they have responded to people being wary about this and being very upset at this point here. The existing characters have a lot of glitched characters, people that have duped a lot that didn't get banned, and just overall really overpowered characters, and people are upset about this. But they did respond on Reddit, so I'll go ahead and read that later. If you do not take on Survival Mode with an existing character, keep in mind that all your progress from Adventure Mode will travel with you, and anything that affects your character in one game mode will also affect them in the other. This means that if you fire off all of your ammo, level up, complete a quest, spend caps, or find a fancy new weapon in Survival, this will also be reflected on that character in Adventure. If you'd rather keep your existing characters as they are, we recommend starting a new one when you head into the more challenging Survival Mode. Stranger danger. Survival Mode is not for the faint of heart. All players except your teammates or event group mates are automatically flagged as hostile toward one another by default. There are no invitations to PvP combat in Survival Mode. You can attack other players without restriction from the first shot you line up, meaning every encounter you have with a stranger could turn deadly in the blink of an eye. Further, level scaling in Survival Mode will work the same way it does in Adventure Mode today. This will help to level the playing field a bit and give newer characters a fighting chance against high-level players they might encounter during their adventures in the Wasteland. As a result, you'll need to keep your wits about you during every hostile encounter, because even low-level characters can pose a real threat. But I want to say, as it stands right now, that's not really the case, but moving on. Greater risks, greater rewards. As this will be our first implementation of a survival mode, we plan to experiment with different rules after beta release, such as death mechanics. Currently, players who die in survival mode will be unable to use the Seek Revenge respawn option against their aggressors and can only choose to respawn at their camp or Vault 76. We're also planning to award you double the caps when you kill another player, and they may drop their aid or other items in addition to their junk, which, if the saves are carrying back and forth, that could really F you over. Like, really badly. So I really hope that they keep these characters separate. Added risks and rewards like these in survival mode PvP will make each of your deaths more devastating, and every kill you rack up much more lucrative. However, it's important to note that these changes aren't set in stone, and we'll be looking to make adjustments based on playtesting and your feedback during the survival beta. It's also worth noting that players who are currently in adventure mode worlds are completely separate from those in survival mode, so you won't need to worry about survival players coming for your aid items or double cap rewards when you're in adventure mode. So they're entirely separate servers. They also need to be entirely separate saves, but hopefully that will happen. And then we've got leaderboards. For those of you who are focused on the new mode's more competitive aspects, we're also planning to roll out in-game leaderboards with the start of the survival mode beta. You'll be able to see how you stack up against your friends and others in the current world, so you'll need to stay sharp if you want to stay on top. We'll have much more to share about leaderboards and all the stats you'll be able to keep tabs on during each play session as we get closer to the survival beta. Looking further ahead, we're going to continue to evolve, improve, and add content to survival mode with future updates throughout this year, and your feedback will be incredibly helpful as we make it the most fun and challenging Fallout PvP experience we can. Our hope is to roll out the survival beta in March, however, we still have a lot more work to do on leaderboards and other features and may need more development time for testing. Stay tuned for more information on the exact timing and an even more in-depth look at survival mode as we get closer to release. So survival mode is looking to be pretty good other than the fact that it shares the safes. But again, we're going to quickly cover that. There is a lot more important information about patch 5 that I want to go over. So make sure to stay on this video. This is not the last thing we're going to cover. So we have this top Reddit post here that I want to go over because it addresses the biggest issue with this new survival mode. And Bethesda did actually respond, which we're also going to go over. So here's what the Reddit user had to say. Do not allow current characters into survival mode, I beg of you. Keep in mind, this has pretty much 2,000 upvotes, which I'm going to also give an upvote because I completely agree. This is a huge mistake. The mode is already dead before it was born if this happens. PvP as it is completely broken. One-hit kill festival. Who in their right mind is going to start a new character when everyone else is level 200 with god tier weaponry right out of the vault? This makes absolutely zero sense, and I'm so disheartened. Do they not realize how this mode will be immediately ruined? If you thought griefing was bad now, just wait until you get killed on sight by literally everyone you cross paths with. Even if they level lock servers so people with massive level differences can't play together, whenever a new survival character gets out of the kiddie pool, all the same assholes with the TSE garbage will be waiting at the deep ends and you will have zero competitive chance. The leaderboards would be a fine idea if everyone started on equal footing. As it is, there will be gold medalist level murderers in the game with me, a literal newborn who can't even walk. What the fuck are they thinking? And people were giving silver, gold, and platinum awards to this Reddit post. Literally everyone agrees. So here is what Bethesda's community manager Valseek had to say in response. Hi everyone, thank you for all the feedback so far on the details we posted about survival mode earlier today. We'll make sure that your thoughts about the mode here and in the future are shared with the dev team. The article mentions this already, but I wanted to restate that we're still iterating and actively working on survival mode, so things aren't necessarily set in stone, and your continued feedback will be very important to us as we move toward beta and eventually release. This is also just the beginning of the conversation. We'll be looking to share more info about the mode with you inside the vault, streams, and other means, and also talk with you more about what you like to see in survival mode as we move forward. Thank you, and please keep the feedback coming. He also added an edit in reference to some of the PvE comments from people. We're also seeing the thoughts being shared by those of you who'd like to see more PvE content, and while I can't spoil any details just yet, I will say that survival mode won't be the only new content coming to Fallout 76 in March, so stay tuned. That's really good news, especially because not everyone's a PvP player. A lot of people just want to be left alone when they play Fallout 76. And again, to hammer in the release window for the survival mode for Fallout 76, this is what Valseek had to say. Right now, we're looking to start beta in March, but that could still shift based on feature work and testing needs. We'll keep you posted on the date as we get closer, and beta should be open to everyone who owns the game, which is really good news. So it seems like they're paying attention to the feedback for this, especially because they know how they really need to nail this one. So hopefully they take this feedback immediately and tweak things before the beta even comes out, because I do not want to see the PvP come out and see the saves transferring, okay? I don't need to verse up against a level 200, 300, whatever, that has extremely overpowered gear. That's not fun, even with their balancing. So going back to the inside the vault, we actually got some details on patch 5. So here is the information that we got. So, patch 5 details. We're still targeting the end of January for the release of patch 5, which means it's going to be within the next week. In addition to the changes we previewed in the last Inside the Vault, we're pleased to share that we're swatting another massive round of bugs with this patch and implementing a number of changes based on feedback that players like you have shared with us in the forums, Reddit, and social media, including the following. Hotkey improvements for Azerty keyboard layouts, which should help French-speaking players have an easier time when constructing their camps. That's good to hear for French players. Also, a highly requested feature is finally being implemented in the game. A known tag will appear next to recipes and plans you've already learned in vendor and player inventories and trade menus. This is something that we've all wanted for a very long time. We even got a mod for it, which was just insane that someone took the time to implement a feature like that, and it just shows Bethesda up, so that's really good to see. The traveling pharmacy perk will now correctly reduce the weight of Radaway and other chems. I swear, man, they did no testing on this game before releasing it. A majority of the perk cards didn't actually even do what they were supposed to, so I don't know who was testing this. I don't know if they were even testing the perks after they implemented them. That's what it felt like, because a lot of the perks, either they didn't do what they said that they were supposed to do, or they just didn't work at all, which was just insane, but I'm glad they're fixing them. The early warnings quest progress will no longer become stuck when crafting upgraded motors, and logging out after crafting upgraded motors will no longer reset the quest tracker to 0 out of 5, and apparently much more. They also said, additionally, we're continuing to investigate, track down, and eliminate exploits, and your reports on these types of issues are a huge help in quickly bringing them to our attention as they spring up. Once again, if you think you found an exploit or observed another player using an exploit, please let our support team know by submitting a ticket, and include any steps that may help reliably reproduce the issue. But that's it for the Fallout 76 Inside the Vault article for January 24th, 2019. If you enjoyed, please smack that like button down below, subscribe to join the good fight if you haven't already, and ring that bell icon to stay updated on my latest videos. It'd be super greatly appreciated as always. And until next time, this is Epoxy, signing off.